What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to week 6 of Look Who's Chalking. I don't know if you enjoyed last week. It was just kind of me heckling Gary, but now Gary's back and he's hungry. He hasn't eaten this whole time, and he's going to be devouring information and then spitting us out some winners today. How you feeling, Gary? How was your trip? Where'd you go down to? Memphis? Where'd you go?
I was in Austin for one of my best friend's bachelor parties. I went to Austin City Limits, the music festival, one of those days. Not normally my scene, still not my scene, but made the most of it. And had a great time down there, though. Drank a ton and didn't play DFS for a weekend, so feeling okay.
Was there anything like cliche? You went to this festival. Is there the actual? Because I don't want to be that guy who's like, what'd you see? A bunch of cowboy boots and cowboy hats and tucked in shirts.
I don't want to get canceled here. Let's just say, Austin's like the the liberal city of Texas. Let's say it was, whatever gender anyone wanted to be, whatever they wanted to wear, whatever sexual orientation they wanted. You saw it. It was very flamboyant for sure.
It was the basement of Area 51 in Independence Day, as the doctor put it. It was the freak show. And that's maybe what we'll title this episode. Well, you remember that line?
Yeah.
Or as I like to call it, it's so unnecessary. Or as we like to call it, the freak show. It's just so weird. They're like, all right, we'll show it. It's so good.
Yeah. And we're not calling anyone freaks, but the freaks were definitely out at these people, and respect to everyone that just lives their best life at these things. I respect it. And it was quite the experience. It was fun though. I had a great time, and that was just one day. And then we went on a boat one day, one of those party boats, and we had a great time. Yeah. A lot of fun down there.
I fully respect them the same way you fully respect them, but they absolutely are freaks. You want to know why? Because I'm a freak, and if I'm a freak here doing a podcast, then whatever the hell they were doing out at the fest, we're all freaks to a certain extent. So what do we got here for week 6? You have to be thirsty for some football, because if you take a week off, it's not like we're deep into the NFL season where you got your filling. You only got 4 weeks in, then you had to take one off. You got to be thirsty for some lineups this week, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely am. And it's crazy especially because I work in the in the industry now. It's you miss 1 week, you just feel so far out of the loop. Like I had to catch up. I watched football a little bit on Sunday when I got home, and obviously caught up on everything I needed to know. But yeah, it's definitely weird taking a week off.
Yeah, that's like being in high school or something, and there was a huge party on Friday night, and it was the one weekend you had to go away or something. Everyone's talking about it or something like that, and you just feel like left out. You feel like a bum because if you miss one little thing, you're on the outside looking in. But I got good news for you, Gary. 4 straight weeks, the score has gone up. I was a little winner week 3. Bigger winner week 4, biggest winner week 5. So either things are going to keep trending that way, or we're falling off that roller coaster or falling off the edge of the cliff like the O'Doyles here in week 6. But hopefully you can, help steer me away from making a big mistake. But I've been steering clear of them. I sent you some lineups, before you got back, and, hopefully we can sniff out some winners the same way I've been sniffing out winners in the gambling side of things. Now we just got to take that onto the DFS turf.
Yeah, and this is a fascinating week because we get it. We get the rematch of the Chiefs Bills. We get that AFC divisional round, maybe the best game of our lifetime. Highly anticipated rematch. And not only that, we get it on a week where we have one other game that I'm really interested in, and then a ton of games that are just like hodgepodge in the mid 40s of game total. So like, the amount of I can't understate how chalky this Bills Chiefs game is going to be. Like it's going to be.
And I do want to say, Garrett, I'm not just saying this. So when the Ravens played the Bills, I was hopeful that game could go the way it did, because even though the Ravens defense was garbage before that, when you have that circle the calendar game, you can play above your actual ranking. It doesn't usually work as simple. Their pass defense is X ranking, Josh Allen is this ranking, and here's how it goes. Because you just don't factor in the level of effort. Like players are going to give playoff level effort almost in a game like that with everybody's eyes on it. I actually, without hoping that something like that happens, I almost think there's a very high likelihood something like that could happen in this game for a couple of reasons. Number one, the Bills, I really feel like they want to win the game. It's not going to be so much about blowing them out. And I really feel like the Bills want to win the game. And if you watch the KC offense, I know you're probably going to say, they've put up a ton of points. There have been many spots, including the first half of last week, the whole game against Indianapolis, the majority of the game against the Chargers. When a defense gets tough on them, that line gets bent back and they struggle. And they don't have any true playmakers. All these games where they were able to amass the many points on offense, they were able to methodically move it up the field. There was no quick strike like the old days. Like what you saw the Chiefs do against Buffalo, where Buffalo would score. Tyreek Hill on that quick slant took it 65 yards. They just don't have the ability to do that anymore. Every single one of these games, they've had to methodically work the ball up the field, and the Bills' defense has just been vicious to play against every single week. And I could see them stopping Kansas City's offense on a good number of these drives, and then conversely, not have this just throw it all over the place type of play calling to kind of guarantee themselves. They saw what scoring quick did against them last time. I really do feel that this game could screw people, and I'm not just saying that.
We agree. We agree. I definitely agree with you. It's you hit a ton of points that I completely agree with. Most notably is that the Bills have the best defense in the league, and the Chiefs' offense. This is the number one and number two offenses in the league. Like let's not understate that. The Bills are the number one scoring offense in the league. The Chiefs still are, despite all the woes and despite all the lack of playmaking talent from that wide receiver position, they still are the number two scoring offense in the league so far this season. But there's a lot of reasons to be a little bit concerned. Short week for KC. As you mentioned, I think the Bills are going to get up for this game in a big way. You might, as you said, if they get up, they might want to just try to control this clock. And then, I think the most important thing is that defense, which I usually hate to attack for DFS purposes. And should I kind of throw that out the window just because it's a great game environment now? No. And I still think, plenty of bring back opportunities. I'm not fading this game altogether, but will I come in under the field just generally? I think so. I think I will.
Yeah. I also believe that I'm normally not a Singletary guy. In the important must-win games, they're going to put their best player on the field a lot. Look for Singletary to get a bunch of quick maybe dump-offs to get it out of his hand early in the game when that crowd, we know how that Arrowhead crowd is. I also need to take a little peek. These two teams played in October last year on Sunday Night Football. The Bills ended up winning, but I need to go see. I believe Clyde Edwards-Helaire got injured during that game. I don't know why I remember that.
Yeah, was that a Darrell Williams game? It might have been.
That's when he came out and started, stomping for like that 6-week stretch where he was super reliable. But the Bills ended up winning that game. I would like to see how the receivers were used and the running backs were used and the overall game flow. I believe it was lower scoring than we would have assumed at the time. And, that might be. We could be wrong, but I really do think that, especially if everyone's going all in on that game, there are a lot of games to choose from this week. So
and it's not to say totally fade it, because obviously this game could become completely fun again. And if the Chiefs are at home, they get possession, they get up 10-14-0 quick. Like all of a sudden this game does have shootout written on it, right? And that can happen. It could definitely happen. Chiefs will be motivated. They are at home. Both, the thing is, like, the Chiefs only have a 25.5 team total. That's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th on the week. The Bills do have the highest implied team total at 28.5, but it kind of lines up to what we're thinking as far as the Chiefs could struggle a bit here to score. The biggest thing on their side is it being an Arrowhead. There's no doubt about that. But it's a 54-point game total. It's easily the most exciting game of the week. And if you're someone like me that's MMEing, I would not recommend putting on a full fade. No way. But I definitely am comfortable coming in under the field on Buffalo stacks and KC stacks for sure.
Yeah. If just quick sniff, if you want to throw a secondary stack and stay away from high ownership, Singletary, Schuster. I know everyone hates Schuster, but he's going to have 1 or 2 really good games this week. He's still the de facto wide receiver 1. Maybe this is the game where they just try to get it out of Mahomes' hands. I don't know. You know how I am with those games. Without putting in a ton of lineups, I'm trying to get points out of it without, the full fade.
Yeah, last week was the MVS week for sure. So, this could be the Juju week. And I think Kelsey has the Monday night discount. He's underpriced. He's only 7,800. He should be AK, 8.2, 8.3. So he's underpriced. I'm sure he won't be, too chalky just because it's hard to fit. So like he could be a piece that you could try to squeeze into secondaries as well. But I think the way to attack this game, if you are fading it, put in plenty of the defenses, specifically the Bills, because I think that's the defense you'd want in this matchup, but put in plenty of the defenses just in general in your pool. And that's the way you attack it without attacking.
Wow. You want to talk about sneaking points out the side door. That is taking it out of the garage, playing that defense. That would be, if that hits, man, that's moving you past everybody.
Both
that's
these teams
using the whistle
out
in Super Mario Brothers 3 for Nintendo. And if you know what I'm talking about, more power to you.
Both these teams air it out. So like there's a good chance of a pick at the very least. You never know what could happen with a pick six. Bills have a great front seven. They can get pressure, straps, strip sack, fumble, touchdown type things. These are all in the range of outcomes, I think. So
when you're looking at those point totals of teams who are ahead of them, is there anyone who stands out to you? Like, wow, here's another game to look at.
Yeah, I mean, there's one very, very, very clear one, right? And that is the Arizona Cardinals, Seattle Seahawks, which signed me all the way up. Can't wait for this. I know you hate attacking Arizona, but this is more about Seattle because Seattle is number one offensive team in DVOA this year. The best offense in the league, according to that DVOA metric that everyone loves. And
I hate
they have
betting.
the 31st,
I hate trusting.
Defense.
I hate trusting Arizona stacks. Very different than running short pass Zach Ertz on the other side or Rondale Moore on the other side. Very different.
I think you have to play Kyler this week. I think you have to. The Seahawks are 31 in defense this year. They're getting so Taysom Hill just had 4 touchdowns on them. Like this is a terrible defense. This is everything we wanted the Lions to be on steroids.
Aren't they the worst runs? The worst run defense in the whole NFL?
The Seattle, yeah. They're right up there.
And if Connor ain't going to play, well, then run Eno Benjamin's rusty ass out there.
But Kyler could design runs for Kyler too all day. I want both sides of this. Like I think Geno's easily your sub 6K quarterback this week. It's not even close. Like the guy has exceeded all expectations. He looks amazing. Like actually looks amazing. I'm not going to fade it until he starts to show regression. So, I will say this. They looked a little better last week to me. They didn't look as lifeless as the first couple of weeks to me. I mean, they didn't look inspired, but they didn't look as lifeless. Yeah, I would agree with that. They're going to get better, and then they're getting Hopkins back. And yeah, Kyler's rushing a little bit more, which is what you want to see. I just think that if you're looking for a pivot, so the Cardinals have a 27-point team total. They're second highest, actually, because of how bad that Seahawks game is. So Seahawks defense is. And, Seattle has a 24. That's a 3-point game with a 51 total. So it's like, it's not that different. The Bills-Chiefs game is a 3-point spread with a 54-point total. Can you tell me the running back who got injured on the Seattle Seahawks this past week? Yeah. And who's his backup? Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Chalker III is going to be the most chalky running back this world has ever seen. Like, well played. Yo. I might have to steal that in a piece this week. I think I have to steal it. I'm sorry. I'm gonna do it. I'm stealing. I read a leverage article for ETR. I think I'm gonna have to steal that. That's great. Well, here's the beautiful thing. You just found the name of this episode. So oh man, that's really at least good. It will be out there. Right now the only running back I'm seeing with more ownership than Kenneth Chalker III is Rhamondre Stevenson. Do you know how much I love the third is there? It's amazing that it's not just Kenneth Chalker. It's Kenneth Chalker III. There have been 2 that come before him, ladies and gentlemen. Rhamondre Stevenson more chalk than Kenneth Chalker right now, according to early ownership projections. But both guys are going to be incredibly popular. So. By the way, Garrett, I think we need to update overall feelings about Jakobi Meyers because if you start producing with the level of bums that he has in 3 straight years, the ghost and bones of Cam Newton and Mac Jones, and now what's this guy's name again? Bailey Zappi. Bailey Zappi, straight out of Cobra Kai. Yeah. And you mean to tell me that, like, he has to be good. Like, he has to be. Somebody said he's Deontay Johnson, but no one's calling him Deontay Johnson. When you look at the amount of catches and targets, and it's not like he's, you know what I'm saying? Like, how much does a guy have to produce? He finally scored a touchdown for, like, the first time in his career on last week, too. Yeah. Adam Levitan at ETR always says target earning is a skill, and I completely agree with him. Like we have to start thinking if Kyle Pitts is good, right? Because he doesn't earn targets. Like that's concerning. Jakobi Meyers, regardless of how good or bad or whatever of this New England offense has been, he's always earned targets, always. So I think that is it's notable and important. So I think you're right about that.
Just to quickly clean up that game, because there's going to be Kenneth Chalker III. There's going to be stacks on both sides. You'd imagine people are going to love anytime people there's a lot of articles and a lot of people are going wild. That tells me there's going to be Geno stacks and double stacks, especially when it's easy with Metcalf and Lockett. And he's winging it to both of them. Yep. He's taking deep shots to both of them. So
I said it on the First Look show this week. Like, it's so funny that throughout the entire Russell Wilson era, I never put Metcalf and Lockett in a lineup together. And then with Geno freaking Smith, they're viable together. Like, I think at least they could be. Like, their offenses, they're way more pass heavy. They're more efficient. They're getting equal amount of targets seemingly each week. And the offense is just better.
This is what it should have been with any normal quarterback. I've been critical of Russell Wilson a long time. And who am I? I'm just some guy in a room somewhere. It's never meant anything. But when you bring in Jimmy Graham, prime up against Gronk, Jimmy Graham, and you can't utilize him properly, and you bring in guys like Percy Harvin, you can't utilize, like, when you're bringing in proven commodities and they can't produce with you, but random ass guys like Doug Baldwin are, something's weird. And the fact that last year he couldn't get a lot out of prime DK Metcalf and prime Tyler Lockett, and Tyler Lockett's proving he's not just some gimmicky guy because now he's doing it without Russell Wilson. I think that was the prelude to what was coming this year with Russell Wilson.
I agree with you. I mean, well, we never see, the problem is we never knew that Geno Smith had this in him at all. Even if we thought he was a league average quarterback, he's playing like a top 5, top 6 quarterback.
Yeah, right? Gary, got news for you. It's going to go away at some point. He played last year.
100%. And, he wasn't terrible last year, but it wasn't this. So I think he's probably somewhere in between what he was last year and what he is now. I mean, we're getting to a point now where it's a big enough sample size where it's not totally a fluke. Like, he can play. He's an NFL quarterback.
I'm not saying it's a fluke, but I'm not saying it's staying.
Yeah,
either.
it's not gonna stay up like this. Yeah, the Cardinals are a little bit hard to figure out. I totally agree with your Ertz assessment on the other side. The targets also have been there in spades, so you like that. And then Rondale Moore is still only 4,200, and he's playing like 100% of snaps. Problem is, he went back into the slot this week after kind of being on the outside with AJ Green out last week. The slot stuff is that low A dot, just kind of check down shit, which is hard to yield super ceiling games. But at 4,200, I do like
please put the caveat: watch every single throw Kyler Murray's made this year. Maybe you can't do it with a quarterback, but Kyler Murray is trying to just get it out of his hand, and it's why Ertz and Moore, like, it's no cool. What a Moore have 7 for 81 last week,
7 for 68,
yeah. So I would say don't fade him just because you think about that, because the way Murray's playing, especially the end of last year when Hopkins was out, beginning of this year, he's just in the shotgun. He wants to just throw something short and quick. And I'm talking about, look at Hollywood Brown, even though he's the one guy who's been going deeper. He's had these 10 catch games. You start getting to 10 catches. Yeah, the fact that they're short, it can't matter that much.
I don't think you could. I don't think that I'm happy you brought up Hollywood, because I don't think you could fade him. He's 4 straight games of somewhere between 10 and 17 targets. Like, he's hit 20 points in 3 straight games and a 30-point in there. This is like getting legit on him. So yeah, I think all 3 of those guys are in play, as is Eno. Let's wait and see on James Conner. I don't think you can really safely play him. Even if he plays, he'll probably be limited. So yeah, I mean, Walker, if you're 150ing, I would throw in DJ Dallas. It's the exact same Craig Reynolds theory for Jamal Williams the other week. Like, he's not going to get, this isn't Dameon Pierce. He's not going to get an 80-90% of snaps, Kenneth Walker. Pete Carroll is way too much of a boomer to do that. So, he's gonna Homer's still out. So it's really just going to be DJ Dallas and him. And we've seen DJ Dallas be in perfect lineups before. The week I won the million, he was in the perfect lineup. I know this is going to be Chalker's backfield, Chalker the Third's, but Dallas, I would sprinkle in like a 2-3% clip in a 150 set.
All right. Now, if you would be so kind as to move us in another direction.
Yeah. So then after that game, it just becomes that hodgepodge. So I think the next highest total is actually.
Why don't we? We'll do something that you're a little more familiar with. Why don't we pop open like the running backs, or is there a position that you would rather start with?
Yeah, we can start at running back here at the top. So let's start at the top. We already kind of spoke about New England, Cleveland. We could talk Carolina Rams a little bit. I think the Rams are brought to me by our friends at eatdrinksleepfootball.com, which is everyone's favorite football site that's written.
I don't know what this site did, but I give them credit. They said, yo, we're going to be eatsleepdrinkfootball.com, and we're going to put those implied totals right on the front page. And when people Google it, if they're looking for implied totals, we're going to be number one. This site you're looking at they beat ESPN, they beat you name it. Eat, sleep, drink football, beat them all. More power to you. I wish I knew how to do that with like comedy stuff. That you won. Somehow, I want to know who has the most points, and I'm getting eat, sleep, drink football. So congrats to you guys, and please let me know the secret.
So the Rams have the 5th highest team total this week.
Do you disagree?
No,
it's impressive.
It's remarkable.
It's also awful because I should know more about them. I can tell you one thing about.
No, why should look at this? Look at this website. It is blue and white with a bar that says home, fantasy, draft, NFL, other, and blog.
Dude, this is the Craigslist of fantasy football.
Exactly.
A guy made this on Wix.com.
He's got advertisements. The guy's making money.
Oh, man, I'm jealous of this guy. Yeah, good. Good for you, man. You didn't even put your name on there. You didn't say bye. You're just cleaning up with these implied totals and these hamburger ads you have on the side and those Amazon burritos. Good for you, man. Good for you. You did it. You made a full living. You didn't even create DraftKings. You created Eat, Sleep, Drink Football and are letting me and Gary know, oh, look, look who's up at the top.
Wait. Ready for this? Eat, drink, sleep, okay? Eat, sleep, Rhamondre Flanagan mattress.
Are you kidding me?
Drink. And then football, Bovada with Stephon Diggs. Stays on brand.
Motherfucker, I want to know who you are. DM me. I'm a little weird, but I'm not some creep in your Instagram DMs saying you up. I want to know how the hell you did this. I want to know who you know to get this Craigslist fantasy football page above everything else. And I'll talk to you soon. But we're going to use your site if you don't mind. I mean, when they say give us credit, I don't think you can get more credit than we just gave you. So the Rams 55.
So Rams. The problem is 25.7, but the Panthers, fresh off firing Matt Rule, down to 15. We got a 10.5-point spread, 41 total. I just don't want anything to do with this game. I really want to find times to go to Christian McCaffrey, and I'm going to get there because the role, the usage role remains elite, but I'm not doing it this week. I can't do it against the Rams defense. So the only piece I want in this game is Cooper Kupp. I don't think I want any other piece of this entire game. So
we don't know Baker's status too, right?
We know PJ Walker's playing. So I think that's actually a good thing for DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey, but they're still not in play in LA against the Rams, So,
yeah.
PJ, and he's not PJ Chalker, he's PJ Walker. No one's playing PJ Walker.
So let's head back to.
So yeah, okay. So then we are, Chubb. You just have to continue to roll out there, right? The Patriots have been bad against the run. You just got to continue to roll it out there, and he's keeps breaking efficiency models left and right.
Yeah, 0 catches once again, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's 138 yards of carry and 2 touchdowns. It's just absurd. Jonathan Taylor practiced, I think, in full today, so he's going to go against a Jacksonville team that he's killed in the past. So
it's got to be low ownership. See someone like him.
Definitely.
I mean, he snaked me twice, man. But look, I guess he's just gonna snake me to the end. And their offensive line was so banged up. They looked awful. Weirdly enough, they were able to get a couple good runs with Philip Lindsay straight out of the movie Spawn.
Hines got hurt in the beginning of that game, right? In last Thursday night. So they're at home, fresh legs for the Colts. I like Taylor a lot in this spot, I think. Yeah. But no, let's go through a couple other games. I
want to note on that list right there. My Men's Warehouse last week, you weren't there. I cut you off because I said, look, Gary just breezed by this guy. You're going to get one chance to get him at that price. Now it looks like you might get 2 chances. Alvin Kamara essentially had 200 yards. He almost had 100 rushing. No, he did have 100 rushing, so he hit the bonus. Almost had 100 receiving. And remember, that's his first game back from injury. They saw he was the He's honestly one of the differences in that game. Look for him to get another big workload at home against Cincinnati, and Dalton's willing to check down more than he did last game.
It was a great play and a great call. The problem with last week was, and this is why when I looked at how everything shook out and why I was happy that I missed it, was every freaking running back in your mother hit. He hit, Eckler hit, Chubb hit, Rhamondre hit, Breece Hall hit 30 points. I've never seen so many 30-point running backs in my entire life. So Kamara wasn't even close to perfect despite being a great play. It's just I hate weeks like that, and I'm happy that I missed it. But he's someone who seemingly is Fournette 36 points, which we knew that was a great play, but it's just that week sucked. So anyway, I think this week will be different for sure.
Yeah, and just from looking at that lineup, you can already tell. Look, Chalker III was going to be in there. Fournette is a weekly piece of chalk, and if someone's going to go with one of the other running backs, it's just unlikely to be Kamara. Kamara still has that underwhelming vibe about him this year, and you saw that he still got the juice. That was Stevenson. So yeah, there's going to be so much double chalk. Really, when you think about it, your average guy this week, he's starting his lineup the same way he started it 2 weeks ago with Jamal Williams and like TJ Hawkinson or whatever. Now they're starting it with Chalker III and Rhamondre Stevenson. The guaranteed, because they're both cheap, and then they're going to try to build from there. So if you're trying to beat them in a tournament, just try to beat those two running backs with different running backs.
And I'll never feel comfortable as great as I like Rhamondre a lot as a player, and it's nice to like feel comfortable playing a Patriots running back, but I'll never feel comfortable at 40% owned or whatever he's going to come in at for a Bill Belichick running back ever. And you just mentioned it as well off air, but you got to imagine the Browns are going to sell out to stop the Patriots run attack and make Bailey Zappi beat them through the air. So this game's in Cleveland. Like, it's such an easy, cheap, large field fade is Rhamondre Stevenson. As much as I love the play, I mean, it's a good play. It's undoubtedly, you can't argue it. It's a good play, but at 40% owned, is it a good play? You know what I mean? Like, in cash, it's a cash game lock. We're not worried about cash.
Trust yourself, man. Trust yourself that you can figure out who will have as good of a day as Rhamondre Stevenson, because I always looked at it, man, when he has a big score, 35-yard touchdown, you check your lineup, I passed nobody. But if he has a bad game, the world passes you. And I hate that feeling, which is why it's one of those things you got to live with, ladies and gents. He's
going to hit a floor. So we have no idea. It was like, what are they going to do? They're going to get Ricky Pierre Strong, I guess, like JJ Taylor. Ty Montgomery's not back. So it's Bill Belichick's hands forced. Like, he can't split this. So,
that's kind of what happened with Josh Jacobs, who you said,
I can't believe how good he is this year. I can't believe it. It's unbelievable. It's actually crazy. It's contract year, man.
Well, when you get Derek Carr checking it down to you, you always got a chance for PPR points. I've been cashing in his receptions every single week. Yeah. Every single week, I just tell people, all right, you want money? Here's the end of the video. Josh Jacobs receptions, reception yards.
Totally.
It's the same thing every week. 5 for 34, 5 for 34, 5 for 34, because Carr's willing to check it down to him.
Two other games worth talking about. I think this game's worth talking about. Jets, Packers. So I think it's actually the third highest total overall. If Eat, Drink, Sleep Football tells me correctly, I believe they are. So yeah, 46. I believe that comes in third. It does. So 26.5. So the Packers are the third highest.
Wait, does Eat, Sleep, Drink allow you to click that over under on the right? Up? Does it let you sort by over under? So go back.
No.
All right, we got you. I knew you cheaped out somewhere. All right.
So anyway, Packers desperate, right? Coming off the London loss. Usually you get the bye after London, so that's a little bit concerning. But they just told schedule makers, nah, you don't have to give us a bye, but give us the Jets. And now the Jets aren't so freaking bad. So the Jets have been putting up points. The running backs have been really good. Brees is still under 6K. I mean, the role is legit. Carried the ball 18 times, has been absolutely targeted through the air. So I don't think he's a bad pivot to the Stevenson and Chalker chalk. The Stevenson and Chalker chalk. But I think you could definitely make an argument. I mean, I'm not going Aaron Rodgers this week because I think you could keep your quarterback pool pretty truncated. But if there's a week that you really want to do it, I guess you could do it this week at home against the Jets. Just look at this box score. It sucks. But anyway, it's a game that might be heard from, and it will not be owned at all. So,
yeah, that one it worries me a little bit. I know the Jets, they had a good second half against the Steelers, and then they're playing a third string quarterback for the entirety of the game. I don't want to have hard opinions based on that because it's not going to be as easy you're not going to be getting that ball back on offense after another 3 and out, or getting it back quickly where now the other defense is demoralized, tired, where, they're giving turnovers on their own 20-yard line. You're not going to get that in Green Bay. That's tough, man. That's another one that I could see falling flat,
Yep. So, all right. So yeah, that's one game. I could see going either way, but there are a bunch of cheap wide receiver options for you if this game does hit, right? Like Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Romeo Dobbs, all under 5K. They all project for well over 5 targets. So it's something to consider. And then this game, Teddy Bridgewater might be back all of a sudden, and this game is going to completely fall all the way through the cracks. It's in Florida. Both teams' defenses are bottom 5 in DVOA, I think, right now, where both teams' offenses have been able to move the ball if they have a quarterback that's competent. No one's playing pieces from this game. I think it's
Gary. I like this, man. See, this is pure Gary adding good shit to the show because it even fell through my cracks.
Mm-hmm.
And now just looking at it, Minnesota, Miami.
Yep.
It's really it feels good.
Yeah, for sure. 45, which is like the third highest on the week, 3-point spread in good weather, assuming it's nice in Miami this weekend. Like it adds up. It definitely adds up. Let's wait on Bridgewater because I don't feel great about Skylar Thompson starting. What was he able to do? He did throw they let him throw the ball 33 times last week. So like there's that. But he said yesterday that they're planning on having him start, but it sounds like Bridgewater practiced today. So we'll see.
I'm just trying to think if I was Justin Jefferson appears to be 2 straight years into low ownership, right?
2 straight weeks.
People refuse to play him for whatever reason.
Yeah. What did he end up? How owned was he last week? He was only 5% owned. It's the price, man. It's the price. People want to pay up for Josh Allen. He's
but don't pay for Cooper Kupp.
He was only 8%. People weren't paying up for these guys last week, All
right, Mocha Joe.
But they'll pay for Stephon Diggs. See, it's all about correlation. So they're going to pay for Stephon Diggs. They're going to pay for Travis Kelce this week. They're going to pay for Gabe Davis again. They'll pay for Juju.
And when you say they, do you know all I'm picturing? Like a horde of zombies, like in one of those movies, just like Diggs, geez, just idiotic, mindless, even though they're not, but just idiotic, can't help themselves. They go to the stake in the middle of the woods and then get spears thrown at them. That's who I'm picturing doing those plays.
Totally fair.
Man, if Jefferson, do you know was a touchdown away from having an absolutely massive, what did he have, like 150 yards and 12 catches. Yeah. Now you had a touchdown to that. You're looking at a 40-point day. It's looking like week 1, 4, and 5 is going to be closer to what you can expect.
Even in week 2, he had 12 targets. So
so that's what I'm saying. I see one dud. I see one dud of the whole bunch.
Right. Exactly. I agree with you. And then Hill and Waddle, it's going to be hard to get there if Skylar Thompson plays, but if you're in Millie Maker, I'm not ruling these guys out, especially because they're cheaper now, right? Thielen, same thing. Like a 2 touchdown Thielen day is coming. The targets are still there, so he's fine. And then Mostert's, I think Mostert's firmly in play. This is his backfield now. Chase Edmonds got benched.
It was always his backfield, Gary.
Not in week 1.
They were waiting for him to get to full health. And I don't know about you. I have my vindication as I always knew I would. Mostert has a 5.5 career yards per carry. And he's building on that once again. He's still, even with them trying to stop the run, because there was a third string quarterback, he's gashing them for those long runs, just like he did. Now, the injury is always going to be a concern. But how's Jeff Wilson looking over there? I knew these damn Niners running backs were good. Every single one of them. And you know what? Late is better than never for me. I'm happy to see. I played Mostert last week. He got me into the cash. Played Wilson many times before that. I'm feeling good about them. I mean,
I agree.
I know I don't have to convince you too much.
I love Mostert also. Yeah, no, it's the bigger story there is that Chase Edmonds dropped the ball and then got benched. They gave him $12 million guaranteed this offseason. That's so much for running back. And Mike McDaniel's like, I don't care. And it's great. So it's Mostert's backfield. Dalvin, now we've had 2 weeks in a row. No, I'm sorry. I guess it was last week that he did step up. I was a little worried about it because of the big spread with Chicago, but the Chicago was able to stay in the game enough where they kept feeding him. I prefer. So
there are some concerning numbers, correct? They're pulling him on more third downs now and on more goal line, like
a little bit. Yeah, it's similar to Eckler stuff though, but the efficiency has been really good. Like he got in the end zone twice, 5 yards of carry in 2 of the last 3 games. I
would say the difference between him and Eckler is Eckler. It seems like whether it's a good game, bad game, the worst game, he has 8 catches, not 2 or 3, 8.
Yep. Not totally. But as far as the underlying metrics of getting, the backup playing a little bit more than we expected, it is true. Yeah. But I think he's fine. But I'd rather attack the passing game on the Minnesota side. So I think Kirk Cousins, it's ugly, and I'd rather play Geno for 300 less, right? Or I'd rather play Brady for 300 more because Brady's in Pittsburgh. I mean, that's a good spot. But Cousins at 6K, I think is in play against a Miami defense that hasn't really been able to stop anything through the air. So, but it's ugly. Yeah, I mentioned Brady. I think Brady stacks are in play here. They're playing Pittsburgh. He's thrown the ball 50 times each of the last 2 weeks. His receivers are getting healthier. I think he's in play.
Hey, smack that tight end tab for me. Okay, do me a favor and hit Kittle's name. We're seeing the slight ramp up in involvement each week. Remember the touchdown catch? I'm just saying, it's something to look. The first drive, he got 4 catches, and as soon as that game was out of reach, then it was run the ball, Wilson. Him and Garoppolo, they have that connection. Just something that he is capable of that big game. He raked up those 56 yards in like a quarter and a half. So if they were in a tighter game, then you can expect for something like that to continue. I know a lot of people are off this guy. He can still go over 100 and a touchdown. He still has.
I agree. A big game's coming from Kittle. Like it could easily be this week for sure. I think that game's also interesting with secondary stuff. I mean, the problem is San Francisco's defense is good. I don't know who you're really picking on from Atlanta. You're not going to the running backs here, right? But from the San Francisco side, there are pieces we like. We definitely still like Jeff Wilson. I like Kittle as well. I'm probably not paying up for Debo this week, but you can make the argument.
Those 2 guys you said is probably all I would do, because there might be another team they throw a beating to. And fortunately, we've seen their beating game plan. Last week was a beating, and we saw how they play once they're up big in a game. And they'll use backup running backs in the second half. I had to watch the ghost of Tevin Coleman come out there. So, at least you kind of know how that goes.
Yep. Tough, man. Tevin Coleman. Talk about a long-term Shanahan guy. It's unbelievable. Tevin Coleman's back in the mix.
He never made my Shanahan cut, though.
Yeah, he's a Shanahan lover, or Shanahan loves him for sure. I mean, he comes in and he immediately dispels Jordan Mason, Marlon Mack. The guy hasn't played meaningful football in years, and he put up freaking 20 points last week or something.
He had 2 touchdowns.
21 points last week. Crazy.
My goodness. I'm upset that you even typed his name in.
I mean, I don't know. There's nothing really else that stands out for me this week. I mean, the Baltimore, you get Lamar against the Giants, but the Giants have been giving up the 7th least amount of points or something in football this year, but they haven't.
Isn't that cheap price for the highest scoring running back in fantasy?
What's that?
Isn't the price for Saquon?
For Saquon. Yeah, he's going to be pretty popular. 7,700 is cheap though, for sure. Is
it possible to do a Lamar naked with Barkley the other way?
Sure. Yeah.
Because, sometimes I just feel it's like, when I do that, I'm like, what am I doing? How about, you know what, Larry? Larry? You know what, Larry?
What's up?
Why don't we build a lineup this week? And why don't we do it with what the stack we just said? Why don't we do it with Lamar Jackson and Saquon Barkley, considering we know the zombies are going to be using players on, they'll probably be building stacks from that late game. And maybe, just maybe.
I would consider pairing him with him. But we're not getting Bateman. Targets are up there. If you're looking for a salary saver, and they just take 3 shots to him a game, and I don't think Bateman's playing. So
he won't.
It's Andrews and it's Duvernay, right? I think he's a solid play.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Now, just because I always do this to get the prices right, let's pick a defense. Just because at least I know how much my average remaining player has. So yeah, let's go down to hell. I'm usually pretty good at sniffing. Give me the Saints at home with the awful offensive line of Cincinnati.
Okay. There you go. I like it.
Then normally I also do this to try to get my average remaining number up. I usually go to tight end. So here, I'm seeing a bunch of bums on the bottom. And you always have to be weary, ladies and gentlemen. Like, everyone played out of nowhere. They were playing Cameron Brate's backup last week. He was in every single lineup. So always be weary if someone misses, and then everyone's going to hop on the backup. Let's go. Oh, my God. Let's go with Pitts.
Wow.
And that means we can go with Wilson. Oh, I'm sick. Oh, I'm sick. Now,
Are you looking to fade Bills Chiefs here? Are you looking to fade Cardinals Seahawks? Like, what are you looking to do here?
you know me. I need some 4 o'clocks because I believe there are winners from the millionaire in the 4s.
Yep.
So
both the games you want are at 4 o'clock this week.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're looking at an average remaining of 54, I guess you can go to either, but probably Arizona, Seattle, because if everyone's playing Chalker, then you may get less ownership with some of the receivers and stuff like that on that team. So why don't we do that? Let's go to Arizona, Seattle to avoid the Chalkers. And
so Lockett will be higher owned, right? Because
exactly. So I want to go with Metcalf because he has the higher ceiling, in my opinion, for a freak a leak game. If you remember, Gronkowski said he was going to freak a leak one of those seasons. And then let's go with see what happens if you put Ertz in the flex. I'm just curious. Oh no, that's going to probably not leave us. You know what I'm going to do? Put Rondale Moore in the flex, and then theoretically, maybe I'll retroactively remove Pitt so it's not a full lineup. I just want to see if Schuster is in the.
Fits perfectly. There you go.
But this isn't my lineup, ladies and gentlemen. This is not my lineup. Mm-hmm. But if someone submitted this lineup to us, what would you think of that?
It's very contrarian. So like you're going to get some ownership on Rondale and Juju and Saquon, but besides that, you're probably not, and maybe Jeff Wilson a little bit, you're probably not getting much ownership there. So you could be even chalkier if you wanted with some of these other pieces. Like if you'd rather lock it than Metcalf, for example.
What I would say, I would probably chuck Pitts, and now that I don't have, oh no, I do have Wilson still. But anyway.
I don't hate this lineup. It's the median projection on this lineup will not be that high, but I don't for a tournament, I don't dislike it. I do like it.
Yeah. Well, look, we're giving tournament plays here. People ain't coming here to win 100, Gary. All right. They want that million because they're greedy bastards, but they're not getting that million. There's only one guy who has that, and that's the owner of the $1 million belt, which you probably can't see behind me.
So is your Men's Warehouse in this lineup? Because we did things out of order here.
Well, we have a slight problem with my Men's Warehouse.
What's that?
He doesn't really exist.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, let me tell people about the Men's Warehouse. If you get a suit in the middle of the fall, they actually will discount it. And the later you go into the years, you will have cheaper prices and more availabilities. Why is that? Because some people are cheap fucks who try to have those winter weddings. And I'm sorry if that was you, Gary. I can't remember.
It was.
Well, that's uncomfortable.
Well, nothing to do with price.
No, anyway, I'm just trying to buy you some time. It doesn't have to do with price, but remember, at the Men's Warehouse here with our selections, we have to keep it under a certain price. So do you have a cheap suit for us that you see on this list?
Sure do. It's going to be my boy, Jamar Chase.
Ooh, good.
7,700. That's cheap for his upside, right? You compare him to the 9K Cooper Cups. We're either not getting T. Higgins or we're getting a limited T. Higgins again. We're getting an in-the-dome Cincinnati Bengals team against a Saints team that just let the Geno Smith-led Seattle Seahawks just burst all over them. Insert sexual innuendo here.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It's just, this is the time. We are so due for a Jamar Chase breakout game. He's projecting on ETR as a positive value with only 6% projected ownership right now. This is adds up to just the juiciest GPP play for me. I love Jamar Chase this week.
Am I going to like the way I look?
I guarantee it.
All right. Well, I mean, I just did a full scan, and really there's one guy who stands out to me who maybe now people will be off of him because, like I said, there's going to be two of the same running backs in everyone's lineup, Chalker, Stevenson. I want to go back to Kamara. That guy had almost 200 yards last week. Got you that 100-yard bonus. Didn't get into the end zone. I know it was against a rusty run defense, but this is going to be his second week back. I want Andy Dalton to play. because he's happy to take 9 checkdowns. I missed Kamara being the leading receiver in that game. It was a bet for plus God knows how much. And remember who was in that game, Metcalf, Lockett, and I missed it by like 4 yards. They're willing to get him those receiving yards. You could be looking at one of those massive, previous Kamara performances, something that would be on par with what you've been seeing from Eckler lately. I love when he's playing indoors in New Orleans. I just always love that. And then you got that semi-short week from Cincinnati, 2 in a row on the road. Maybe they might be a little more vulnerable on the ground. And I'm going with Alvin Kamara with the back-to-back Men's Warehouse pick of the week. Hey, came through once.
Am I going to like the way I look?
I guarantee it.
Yeah, we somehow both picked on the same game, which is pretty funny. But yeah, I think that tells you that along with that Minnesota-Miami game, I think this New Orleans-Cincy game is a little sneaky as well.
Yeah. It's weird with New Orleans and Cincy right now. It feels like they could always go either way. It could be one of those week 1 stalemates that they had with the Bucks, or it can be the Vikings game, which was wild at the end, or last week was wild. And then when you
gotta love that this is in the dome. Like I think that helps out a lot. I just think I really think this is a big Burrow week. So I might sprinkle in some Burrow chase stuff.
And if there's no Higgins, you gotta love when they make it easy on you to make those stacks, right?
Right, exactly. And I like Kamara a lot on the other side of that. Like I think I'll have plenty of lineups that like are Burrow, Chase, Kamara. So I think we're onto something here for sure.
We are onto something here, and I guess we will see how that one pans out. Just want to thank everybody for coming back. Awesome to have Gary back as always. I can scream into a microphone alone in a closet, but it ain't the same. And that I would have never invented or stumbled upon Chalker III if I didn't have Gary feeding me that lazy curveball. Speaking of which, you must be pretty excited about the Yankees, right?
Yeah, they get rained out tonight, so I get to watch the barn burner that is Justin Fields and Carson Wentz. So I'm really excited about that.
All my bet, for those of you who follow Gary on Establish the Run, I do sports betting videos for Odd Shopper, NFL, and NHL, and I've been on a hot streak. So when you're on a hot streak, people start coming to you like, "All right, well, what do you got? What do you got?" And I'm those kind of guys. I'm not just going to give picks to give picks. And I just looked into the camera. I go, Terry McLaurin, that's all I got for you. All my bets tonight are centered around Terry McLaurin. The over on receptions, over on reception yards, they put it at 52, like he's some bum. There's no target competition outside of Curtis Samuel. And do you know what I saw, Gary? A tweet saying 100% of the bets, 100 at BetMGM are on the over 4.5 catches for Curtis Samuel. There is not a single person who took the under. So if there's one thing life taught me, is those zombies in World War Z never win in the end. And that's probably how we're going to end this episode. And that under on Curtis Samuel, how those zombies are going to end their night. Take it easy, everybody. Thank you for coming back. We'll be back with you next week. Send the show to a friend. I know some of you guys, you enjoy it quietly in the night, but let a couple of people know about it, will you? All right, take it easy. We'll see you next week.
Chiefs, Bills. Kelsey.
Broadcast. Kelsey.
Josh.